Welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Katie and this is Rouse Rising. In this week's meal prep video, we are going to be cooking with cast iron cookware. I'm also going to be sharing with you my top tips for cooking in cast iron cookware to maintain a non-toxic and non-stick surface. Cooking with cast iron cookware is beneficial to your health. It's going to introduce 20% more iron into your food. If you find cooking in cast iron intimidating, stay tuned because after you watch this video, I guarantee you're going to feel more confident in your cast iron cooking abilities. All right, I'm going to preheat this up. Get it preheating. I've got a little bit of baking grease right here. Swipe it around my cast iron when I need to do that. I've got two of these griddles. This one in particular came with this stove, and this one I had purchased before we had this stove. So we're gonna get this one going because this is gonna be the one that we put toast in. Recently my Instant Pot went out, so I also have this pot for slow cooking on my stove top. It's by Staub, and this is what I've been using to slow cook the food that we've been slow cooking, because if you guys have been around here, you know I love my Instant Pot, and it's dead. After 9 years, my Instant Pot died. 9 years of near daily use. I would say I used it 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week sometimes. Got all the eggs, all the butter, and toast, because we're going to make butter toast on our griddle. Kids have been asking for eggs and toast every day, so that's just crumbs. My first tip for cooking with cast iron cookware is to make sure that your cookware is preheated before you throw any food in it. Well, I prefer to make sure that everything is thoroughly heated through. So throughout this video, you are going to see me turning on my cast iron cookware well before I put food into my cookware. My second tip is don't be afraid to use fat, whether you're using butter, lard, tallow, olive oil, coconut oil, whatever it is. Make sure that you are using a bit of fat in your cooking. It adds so much flavor, and it's going to help keep your cast iron non-stick as well as keeping it well seasoned. This is how I sunny side fry a bunch of eggs for my 5 kids. I just crack them all into the skillet like so. I season them. Okay, so first thing I like to do to my eggs is sprinkle with a generous amount of Redmond's real salt. We're gonna go in with some pepper. You can use fresh ground pepper, but lately we've been liking this fine ground that we get from, well, I don't know where we got this from, but I got this on sale somewhere. I'm gonna go back and get some more from Grocery Outlet or somewhere, I believe. It's like the really fine ground pepper. You just pop a lid on and let that cook away on low. Look at that cast iron butter fried toast, and look at that, the eggs didn't stick not a lick. If you want to know how to restore cast iron skillets, I'll put a link for restoring cast irons down in the video's description below. It has nearly 1 million views, so you might want to check it out and find out how to get this amazing non-stick, amazing surface that is not Teflon or ceramic coated or anything weird. It's just cast iron, Depending what I cook or when I'm going to cook again, sometimes all it takes is a little wipe out with a paper towel. All right, my cast iron Dutch oven has been on the shelf for a while, so I've just heated it up a little bit and I'm giving it a nice oiling with a bit of lard here. I just have a little bit that I keep in a jar for this purpose. I need to render down some more lard. I do have some beef fat I need to render into tallow, and I might have a little bit of pig fat left to render into lard. You can also use bacon grease, whatever you got. All right, this is the underside of my lid. I've been using this for my sourdough, and so I just have neglected it for a long time. But since my Instant Pot is broken, we are gonna go ahead and get this going with a beef stew today. But we're gonna wipe on the lard and wipe off all the excess and get this to a nice and beautiful shine. We're using, well, you should use a lint-free cloth. This is just a piece of flannel, an old piece of flannel. So I'll show you what this looks like when I'm all finished. All right, we've got our lid seasoned and ready to go. We've got our Dutch oven seasoned and ready to go. So we are gonna start making our beef stew in just a minute. All right, friends, I bought this large pack of meat yesterday from Costco. And today we're gonna cook some of it anyways, in our Dutch oven. I used to cook in cast iron all the time, but then becoming a mom with little babies, I needed a more forgivable way to cook meals for my family, and that's where the Instant Pot came in, and that is where some of my ceramic coated cookware came in. But I much prefer cooking with cast iron over cooking in any type of non-stick coated cookware. Cast iron is far superior for a variety of reasons. In the past, you've seen me make elk stews, deer stews, all sorts of stews, but today we're going to do beef. We've got some peeled potatoes sitting here in water so they don't turn brown. We don't want them to oxidize. We've got a bunch of onions. We've got a bunch of carrots. We've got some flour here, and we're going to take a few moments to jazz up this flour with some Redmond's real salt. We're going to go in there just like that. We're also going to add some Redmond's real salt, seasoned salt, and we're also going to do some pepper in there. And all of this is going to go onto our beef, and we are going to saute the beef in the pan and get it browned up before we add all of our vegetables, all of our root vegetables. We're also going to put some thyme in there and season that up as well with some thyme, but not in here. In here, we're going to go in with some fine ground black pepper. And I need to grab some more of that. So I'm going to get this mixed up. Be doing some cast iron cooking in the Dutch oven, going into the oven today. Let's go ahead and bake and preheat our oven to 350. Get that started. I might even do it down lower, but we're going to start out at 350 so we transition our hot cast iron Dutch oven into the oven. It's going to be a nice temperature adjustment for it. Not adjustment, but you know, it's going to be nice, easy on the cast iron, no shock to it. It's already going to be hot going in a hot oven, but we're going to turn it down and slow cook this baby. To our pot right here, we're going to get some olive oil. You can use lard or tallow or whatever you have. I need to render down more lard. I need to do some tallow. I'm going to take a couple pounds of this beef stew because we're going to eat on it for the next few days. This is that Costco beef stew. And we're going to start sauteing it. Well, we're going to get it coated in flour first and then sauteing it. All right, we're going to brown this meat. To effectively brown all the meat that I'm going to be using in this recipe, I'm doing it in batches. So once this is browned, I'm going to take it out of my pot and add some more meat to it, and then we are going to return everything to the pot once the meat's done cooking, and we will add all the rest of our ingredients and pop this Dutch oven into our oven. Now you want to make sure you keep all those delicious little brown bits in your Dutch oven, all those pieces that have fried and crisped to the side, because those are going to add so much flavor to your beef stew. Once I have all of my meat in there, I'm just gradually adding all the vegetables. I want these to start warming up, and then I'm going to add some hot boiling water to my pot as well as the rest of my seasonings. Alright, right now we're going to go in with some thyme seasoning. Okay, we're going to do about 2 teaspoons there of better bouillon. And I've just got some hot boiling water going in here. Also going to throw in some freeze-dried celery. Alright, the stew is safely in the oven, so we're going to lower it down to about 300 and let it cook for a few hours.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Look at how yummy that was. Oh my god. I'm going to go for a little longer. It's about 4 o'clock. Great.
What you guys think, Mom, for dinner? Was it good?
More?
Yes.
Potatoes? This next dish could easily be a 1 skillet meal, and then you could just cook some rice on the side if you wanted something like that, or some potatoes. But what we're gonna do is start out with some chicken thighs, and I've put them on this parchment paper just for ease of cleanup while I season them. Sometimes I don't want to do all the extra dishes. All right, so we have put on these chicken thighs, the seasoned salt, some garlic powder, some onion powder, and we're also going to do some chili lime seasoning as well as some paprika. The Redmond's real seasoned salt and the chili lime seasoning both came from Redmond's. So we're going to mix all this up, get that seasoning in all the cracks and crevices of the meat, and then we are going to preheat our skillet and get some peppers and onions chopped up as well. So when we preheat our skillet, we're going to throw some butter in there. We are going to throw the chicken in there and the vegetables on top, and all of that is going to go into a 400-degree preheated oven for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then I'm going to take it out and finish it up on the stove with a nice gravy, some corn on the cob, and some Brussels sprouts. Now, let me just tell you real quick while I've got your ear here. When we cook the Brussels sprouts, we're going to parboil them in some salty water before we saute them and bake them for a bit, just to get a little bit of color on them and to get the bacon cooked through. So you see back there in that little sauce pot, I've already par-cooked my Brussels sprouts, and they're just hanging out there waiting for their bacon, their butter, and all the deliciousness that makes Brussels sprouts a yummy side dish. All right, we're just gonna make a little bit of gravy with this, and you can do that a variety of ways. I'm just gonna add some cornstarch. This is just a little bit of cornstarch and water.
Let me have it. Go here.
And to clean this cast iron out, I just put some hot water in here, and I'm using a bristle brush, just cleaning it out. And then we're gonna re-season it real quick. Just throw some fat back in there after we rinse this. Just have some fat here, some tallow or some lard, whatever you have. Voila. It's on some heat. We do the same thing with the pot. We just cleaned it out, and then we're just gonna turn on the heat, get it on some heat, and smear some fat around on the inside. So it's ready for the next use. There you go. Shiny, black, and new.
The last cast iron skillet meal we're going to be cooking up is breakfast burritos. So I have going in my skillet right now some sausage. We are going to brown this, and I'm going to split it in half because I'm going to use the sausage or part of it in another meal in the future. So for this recipe, we're just going to be using about 1.5 pounds. This is about 3 pounds total. But this really isn't a recipe because we're just going to throw a bunch of eggs in with the sausage, throw some cheese on it, cook it in the oven so I can go back to homeschooling my kiddos for about a half hour. And then I'm going to come back and whip up these burritos so that they can have a hearty breakfast and we can get back to our homeschool routine. So I have about 10 to 12 eggs in a large bowl that I'm mixing up with about a cup of milk, whatever I had left in my jar of milk. And I added a tiny bit of salt to that, not too much though, because the sausage already has salt and seasoning in it. I'm just adding a little extra butter just to make sure nothing sticks. Sometimes with sausage, you can have sugar in the sausage, which would cause it to caramelize a little bit, making it a bit sticky in there. So precautionary butter, and you can never have too much fat when you're feeding growing kids. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. I've done it a variety of ways. I always start out with my hot skillet and I dump all of my ingredients into it. A lot of times I start out with a lid on my skillet and I just cook it or bake it the whole time with a lid on it. But this time I decided to partially cook it, the top and the bottom both cooked, and then I put the lid on. So I'm kind of experimenting here with my method to this madness, and that is just going to allow it to cook the rest of the way through in the center. And then on my large griddle on top of my stove, I am heating up these tortillas and throwing them into a stack. And once I have all my tortillas heated up that I'll need for this meal prep, I'm going to start rolling them. Just got to wait on those eggs to finish cooking. So you can do this in a large sheet pan. You can do it in a large skillet, however you decide to do it. For me, it's one of the easiest ways to make your eggs or your burritos, make your eggs for your burritos, and then you just slice it out of your skillet or out of your sheet pan, however you bake them, and you've got chunks that you can just roll up into a burrito, and it just makes it a lot easier. Everything kind of stays together a little better, but you do see me chopping it up in these burritos just to spread it out a little bit, to not shrink it down, but to just make it fit a little bit better. Use your discretion, roll them how you like. I also always put a little bit of cheese at the end of my tortilla. That way my burritos don't unravel on my little kids, so I put them back over here on the griddle, and that heats the cheese and melts it and helps the end stick to the burrito so that my burritos aren't falling apart on my little kiddos. They can just pick them up and eat them and not have it fall in their lap. So there you go. That's my little trick for these breakfast burritos. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me today for this cast iron cooking video. I hope you hang out some more and click the subscribe button as well as that notification bell and hang out and see what else we cook up in this kitchen. I'm always looking for great ideas or meal prep inspiration, so comment down below, what are some of your favorite things to cook for your families? What are your favorite things to cook in your cast iron skillets? I would love to hear all of your ideas because I'm just one mom struggling to feed a family of 7, and I gotta cook 3 meals a day, and sometimes my brain just goes kaput and I can't think of what to cook next. Maybe I should meal plan, but my brain has a hard time planning. So every day it's I don't know what I'm cooking until it's cooked. And there we go. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.
Let's go to work, 'cause I'm tripping. Gotta work on myself, 'cause I'm falling apart. Please wake me up, 'cause I'm slipping. Can't fight this feeling off no more. But I'm not going to give up and fall. Rise above the door. Need all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all. I'm never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again. Yeah. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go.